Hey, this is Kevin Kelly. Get ready for the latest episode of the Stardom Cast.
Hello guys, and welcome to the Stardom Cast, your weekly audio source of all things World Wonder Ring Stardom. I'm your host, Rob Goodin, and I am joined as ever by Matt Turner. Matt Turner, how the devil are you on our 100th episode, our centenary, my friend?
Yes. First of all, I am great, as always. Thanks for asking. And I got to ask you, my friend, you're the one that started this, you and Chris, a few years ago. You're the OG. Did you ever think when you guys started this, or you got to episode like 2, 3, 4, 5, that you would be not only at 100 episodes, but really kind of the peak of this podcast as things are rocking and rolling? Do you ever think you would get this far and it would be going, this well?
I've been doing podcasts for years, but to have one with the following that we've got, I mean, we've been texting back and forth this week, and we've had really nice messages from people as early as literally yesterday, I think it was. And it's really humbling. Like, we've done podcasts where I've just, messed about with a couple of mates, but to have one that's, quite important to people is really quite humbling. And I never thought I'd have anything like that. To have anyone, to have one person listen to me ramble is fairly humbling. But to have people that, to get to 100 episodes and for people to actually want to listen to it is a bizarre thing I don't think I'm ever going to get used to. But yes, when I first started this, I did not think it would last 20 episodes, never mind 100.
Yeah, well, congratulations, my friend, on 100 episodes. I speak for everybody when we say, thank you for starting this. Thank you for letting me be. Thank you for letting me be a part of this. And here's to another, maybe 1,000 or more.
Well, absolutely, and I think I also speak for everyone that listens and said just to say that you've done a fantastic job. You've killed it. And you continue to kill it in everything you do. And also, I think it's fair to say there would be no Stardom Cast without you, my friend. So it's a pleasure doing this with you. And again, here's to many, many more. And I'm lifting my glass of Ribena because I'm just that hardcore.
Well, and I'm drinking. What am I drinking? I have water and whatever is left over from my pre-workout from this morning from the gym. So cheers to you, Mr. Goodwin. Cheers to all the fantastic friends and family of the Stardom Cast. We greatly appreciate all the support. Not only this is 100 episodes regular, you add in the litany of stuff we've done for the Patreon. It might be closer to 150. I don't know. We've done a lot of bonus stuff as well.
It's over 150, I believe, at the moment on our Patreon. I've just uploaded and scheduled our latest alternate commentary, which is Utami Hayashishita and Mayu Iwatani from Sendai and Cinderella. It's 157. We've done 57 Patreon episodes, which is just absolutely baffling that we've managed to crank out that much content. Absolutely baffling. I did just want to briefly, before we kick into what we're going to be talking about today, the opening of the Triangle Derby, obviously Stardom representation on the main card at Wrestle Kingdom, and then obviously a whole host of changes to cards, the announcement of the Cinderella, all these things we're going to be talking about today. But first of all, Matt, you sent me a text earlier today, and I hope you don't mind. I'm going to share part of it now, and the reason that I'm going to share part of it now is because you won't have realized the irony of what you sent when you sent it. So obviously you are incredibly dedicated to the gym. You're in incredible shape. And we were talking about something we were doing earlier, and Matt sent me a message and then at the end put, FYI, on Arms Day, listen to the newest Iron Maiden album, Works Wonders. Now, the reason I'm reading that out is because at that time, I was sitting on my bed eating an entire tub of Quality Street. Now, I don't think I've ever felt worse about myself than the thought of Matt absolutely shredding it to the tune of Iron Maiden and me just sitting in a wash in this sea of Quality Street rappers, just I just honestly, I laughed my head off when you sent me that, just because I was like, I've had so much chocolate. I'm so full of chocolate.
Yeah, my diet, with me being off, I think 13, 14 days, and I knew I was going to be taking time off of wrestling for several reasons. One, it was the holidays. I wanted to focus more time on my family. Two, I wanted to rest some of these injuries that I've had over the last 20 years of abusing my body. And three, I wanted to put a super hyper focus on the podcast. I mean, it's a surprise of nobody outside of my immediate family. My number one priority is this podcast, hence 57 Patreon episodes in less than a year. And I'm absolutely having a blast doing it. So I really need, I work out every day. I mean, it's very rare that I miss a day. I worked out on Christmas. I worked out New Year's Eve, New Year's Day. It's literally part of my DNA. It's literally part of what I've been doing for a long, long time. It's almost like the same thing. It's like, I brush my teeth every day. I take a shower every day. It's literally, part of my day. The only thing that was really suffering was my diet. And I noticed when I hit like 30, 31, that anytime I had a milkshake, I looked at myself in the mirror. I'm like, ooh, you need to do a little more cardio. And now that I'm 40, going to be 41 this year, I'm really, trying to get a little more strict on it, as I'm actually just got two more bookings for this year. So I'm going to be getting back into the ring really, really soon. So I was like, I had to kind of take that principle. And we were kind of texting back and forth, and obviously something we'll share with our listeners a little bit later as things are moving in a great direction for us here at the Stardom Cast. But I said, yeah, no problem, buddy. I'll handle that. Let me just get done with the gym. And that's what I said. By the way, I'm listening to and I've heard the newest Iron Maiden album, Senjetsu, a handful of times, but for some reason on Arms Day, which today was for me, buys and tries, it was just hitting me in the right direction. I always try to give some advice or anything that's working for me out to anybody that will listen to me. And I just happened to be texting you. So I figured, hey, buddy, by the way, next time you go to the gym and you're blasting some tricep pull downs, maybe listen to the writing on the wall from your countrymen over there at the Iron Maiden.
Well, you said that obviously the gym is in your DNA, and brother, I feel you, because eating quality street is in my DNA. So, yeah, feel you, mate. Anyway, enough talk about my enormous gut. Let's talk about the Stardom that has been going on. But before we do that, what is coming up on our Patreon this week, Mr. Matt Turner?
Rob Goodwin, about this time next week, in the next week or so, the Hanan, Hanan, Future Stardom Championship title reign will be up for the white and red belt tier Patreon listeners. I literally, probably about a half an hour before we started recording, I just finished the last match where she, spoilers, drops the belt to Ami Sohrei. We're recording this on a Saturday, and I'll get to, we usually record on a Wednesday or Thursday. We'll get to that in a moment while it's late. But I'm recording this on a Saturday, and I believe I'm going to be recording the Hanan Future Stardom episode probably on a Monday. So probably in the next 7 or 8 days, that'll be up on your feed. At the end of the month, for the white and red belt tier Patreon members, Starlight Kid High Speed Championship Run, that'll be up on the Patreon as well. And also, I was talking to our editor-in-chief, one Mr. Sean, and what we're going to do, and I'm 80% sure we're going to do this. So if it doesn't happen, don't get mad at me, but I'm 80% sure this is what we're going to do. For these two, I like to cover my trails. I don't like to get any heat. Like, me, Rob, I got to be honest. So what we're going to do is for these two Patreon episodes, we're going to remove the Mayu Iwatani championship theme, and the intro is going to be the Hanan theme, and the intro is going to be the Starlight Kid theme. And when I was talking to Sean about some kids, this doable, and he said more than likely, yeah, don't tell everybody 100%. I said so about 80. He said I should be able to do it. And then I thought, man, we should have been doing this all along for the Julia, the Io, the Mayu, but then Sean probably would have wound up quitting on me because I gave him so much work over the last 5 or 6 months. I'm probably driving the poor guy mad. So, yeah, that'll be a really cool way to start it. Obviously, we're a huge fan of the Hanan theme, so that'll be, like I said, I think that's a really cool way to kind of kick off these episodes with the theme song of the wrestler that we're doing the review. So that's what's coming up for the white belt tier. For the red belt tier, Patreon members, you mentioned earlier, me and Rob just the other day, we did the alternate commentary to Utami Hayashishita challenging Mayu Iwatani for the World of Stardom Championship. And man, I had an absolute ball. I mean, you will find very hard pressed that anybody that likes watching wrestling more than me. But when we got on the Discord to record, before you hit the record button, you were just absolutely buzzing about how excited you were to watch this match. And Yeah, it was an absolute barn burner. And I watched that match 4 or 5 times. And I can honestly say, brother, that was the most fun I had watching that match, is doing the alternate commentary with you. So that was an absolute blast. And I'm going to call myself out and then put you over here, because this is kind of funny. As I'm sure everybody knows, I'm a massive fan of Queen's Quest.
No, you, man, no.
So yes, yeah. So when so we're doing the, we hit the record, we're doing the intro, we're ready to do the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and as soon as we hit play, you hear your Tommy's theme go, "Bow down to the queens." And as Rob is getting ready to talk, I, like a child, interrupt him, like, "Oh, great! What a great way to start the show, is the bow down to the queens." Now, Rob, who has never done commentary for any match before, except for the freebie we did before Christmas with Sherry and Mayu, like a 20-year pro, as I'm babbling along about how much I love the Queen's Quest intro, like a 20-year pro stops himself, lets me get it out of lets me get it out of my system, and then continues right on what he's doing. Like, what an absolute pro you are, sir.
I did get the feeling that if I didn't let you get it out of your system, you'd be giddy for the entire match. So, and rightly so, because I was giddy for the majority of it as well. But yeah, I must admit, these alternate commentaries that we're doing, it's some of the most fun I've had doing podcasts. So I do actively encourage it. Again, all of our fantastic patrons, thank you so much. We massively appreciate you. If you haven't already checked them out, it's such a laugh. It's such a riot. It's one of the things I enjoy doing most. So if you haven't already, definitely go and check that out on our Patreon. In the meantime, however, I did just want to talk about a little bit of news heading into the Triangle Derby that we're going to be talking about. Unless there's anything, of course, you want to add, Matt.
Yeah, real quick. Next week, we're going to be doing, for the alternate commentary, we're going to be doing Azumi is going to be challenged for the High Speed Championship by KAIRI Yonoyama. Did I say that right?
Nailed it.
Oh, a buddy of mine who does like 5 podcasts a week between comic book and wrestling. He was telling me, if you don't know how to pronounce somebody's name, just say it with confidence. So I think you should. You should. And then at the end of the month, we're replacing the Io Shirai versus Meiko Satomura match, because I didn't know that it wasn't on Stardom World. We're replacing that with Julia defending the World of Stardom Championship against Tam Nakano in the hair versus hair match from the Budokan Hall in 2021. And also, we're going to be doing we're going to basically, anytime that this show grows, we're going to be giving more and more, like, almost like free stuff out. For example, we have the Patreon all booked up until May. Next month is Rivalry Month. March is Momo Watanabe Madness Month. And then April is Insane April Part 2 Electric Boogaloo. So if you folks want some bonus stuff, here's what's going to happen. If we can get the Patreon up to 50 subscribers, I think we're just a shade below 40 right now. If you can get the Patreon up to 50 subscribers, doesn't matter what tier it is, Rob and I, we'll do a bonus episode of Sherry defending the World of Stardom Championship against Julia from just about 2 weeks ago at Dream Queendom. Obviously one of the best matches I've ever seen in my entire life. And then I will also be doing the Sherry World of Stardom, the V10 run. So that'll just be a bonus episode for any level of the Patreon. So and as it continues to grow, Rob and myself will be doing alternate commentary on just random matches. So if this gets to 55, 60, if we see more downloads, if we see more stuff going on social media, Rob and I are just going to be just literally the show with more and more bonus content. So it's basically help us, help you, help us. So anytime that this show just continues to grow on any platform, Rob and I will just be doing more and more stuff, giving more and more free content out. As great as 2022 was, and it was a great year for us on the podcast, we know that 2023 is going to be even bigger for us. So just help us make it bigger and better. And because me and Rob just really need an excuse to do more commentary to these fantastic matches, because 4 months just isn't enough for us.
Absolutely. And again, I cannot put over just how much I enjoy them. But actually, Matt, you've managed to help me segue quite well there, because obviously you've been talking about everything we're going to be throwing onto the Patreon. I am just going to announce, obviously, our bracketology episode for the Cinderella Tournament, the return of the bracketology, otherwise known as Rob Gets Predictions Hilariously Wrong. That is going to be returning as well. Now, off the top of my head, I think we released the bracketology episode on the Patreon, and I think we released our preview of the tournament on the free feed. If that's the case, that'll be what is happening again this year, but we'll do it for the $1 Patrons all the way up as well. So if you want to hear and follow along with mine and Matt's brackets for the tournament, then you can check it out from the $1 all the way through to the $5 as well. Speaking of the Cinderella, see, those segues, fantastic. During the Triangle Derby pay-per-view, it was announced that the 2023 Cinderella Tournament will begin on March the 26th, with the opening round taking place at Yokohama Budokan. We then got the second round and quarterfinals taking place on the 1st and the 2nd of April on back-to-back nights. And then the final will be taking place on the 15th of April from the Yoyogi National Stadium, which, Matt, is 8 days before Stardom All-Star Grand Queendom. So I think we can assume safely that the winner of that tournament will be making their challenge in the Yokohama Arena. Now, I'm going to ask you, Matt, who your early prediction is. And I know we talked a little bit about this with Karen, but I want to see if things have changed. I'm intrigued to know who your early prediction is for the Cinderella Tournament, because I've got mine locked in. I'm going to say mine first, because I know some people will be like, oh, you're just copying if we do the same thing. We haven't talked about this previously, have we? We haven't texted or anything, just so that people know. But my winner of the Cinderella, and I imagine quite a popular choice, is Mina Shirakawa. What about you?
Mina Shirakawa would be my runner-up. I'm going to say Hazuki. I think right about now is the time. We talked about Hazuki. I believe she was both of our MVPs in the 5-star Grand Prix.
She was.
And then we haven't been talking about her as much, just because of just the booking, what's been going on with the tag division, and then the booking going on with Dream Queendom, even though the show was a slam dunk. And then obviously a lot of our focus the last 2 weeks was just on that massive World of Stardom Championship match. So it seems like the last 2 or 3 months we haven't been putting Hazuki over as much as really as we should. And that just kind of, so much stuff is going on with Stardom. So I think Mina Shirakawa is a safe prediction, especially with her kind of creating her own faction with Club Venus. It would really give her a shot in the arm, especially if she's going to be going for the World of Stardom Championship, which we did see that Mina did come out when Saya Kamatani was issuing challengers after her successful title defense against Yumi Misaki at Dream Queendom. So I think that's a really, really good pick. I really thought you were going to say either Starlight Kid or your copy and paste every year Azumi, which those are good picks as well. But I'm going to say my early pick, no lock in until we get the brackets, is going to say Hazuki. And if you do remember, if you've been listening to this podcast from last year, one, we thank you. But if you remember when we did our bracketology last year, it was me, you, and my wife Amber. She even gave our bracketology, and that was an absolute mess in the best way possible. So it might be the same way this year, and maybe me and Rob will get a little bit drunk when we do the bracketology.
I think that's a great shout. I mean, I don't need much of an invitation anyway, but doing that, I might even get Kirsty just to fill one out just for laughs, because she doesn't even know who any of these wrestlers are, so it might be fun just to see what she comes up with and how. Because I guarantee she'll get more right than me, and I guarantee this is the year that Azumi will win it. This will be the year where I've gone, no, she's definitely not winning. She's not winning. And she'll win it, and she'll beat Mina Shirakawa in the final. Knowing our luck, it'll be Hazuki and Mina Shirakawa getting knocked out in the first round. But I digress. Obviously, that is all coming up on the Patreon. And then, obviously, we'll preview the tournament once the brackets are announced. And, obviously, we'll be having coverage on the free feed all the way through to the final on the 15th of April. Just 2 days after I turn 33. Another couple of bits of news. The official Twitter account, at least I believe it to be the official Twitter account. It was retweeted and translated by the wonderful Karen Peterson. For the Hana Kimura Memorial Show, has tweeted out that May 23rd, please keep it free and wait for more details. So obviously, in 2021, we had Matinee. In 2022, we had Vargas, and it looks like we are going to have another installment of the Hana Kimura Memorial Show. So that is something to keep your eyes open for more details. That's all that I can find in terms of that. Once the announcements are made, we will keep you informed. And then finally, some unfortunate news coming out of Stardom. The announced cards for the 8th and 9th of January, the 8th of which had that much anticipated rematch between Azumi and Starlight Kid for the High Speed Championship. They've had to be changed due to the poor physical condition of Himeka, Starlight Kid, and Momo Watanabe. And obviously, with it being right in the midst of this Triangle Derby, it's thrown a lot of those matches into flux, and obviously Starlight Kid will not be competing for the High Speed Championship, which Azumi has gone from potentially main eventing that show to being in the pre-show Rumble, so it's quite the fall for her. But I'm sure we'll be seeing this Starlight Kid and Azumi match sooner rather than later. In fact, I wouldn't be, if Starlight Kid doesn't win the Cinderella, it wouldn't surprise me if this show on the 23rd of April at the Yokohama Arena, what better way to open that card than with a 10-11 minute Azumi and Starlight Kid match for the high speed title. What a way to kick off that show. And I think if you are looking to do good numbers in the Yokohama Arena, you need to put on your best card. And I think if you're looking at putting the best of the high speed division in there, you're looking at Azumi versus Starlight Kid. So it's obviously incredibly bad news and incredibly poor timing. And obviously, we hope nothing but speedy recovery for Starlight Kid, Himeka, and Momo. But this could be a blessing in disguise for Starlight, who might be in a high-profile title match come that big show. Is there anything else, Matt, you'd like to talk about before we talk about the two big shows we're going to be talking about?
No, I kind of agree with you. It could be a blessing in disguise. A poor physical condition, Rob, usually means COVID. Usually, I mean, I noticed that in the last year or so. Hopefully, it's just a mild case of it and something that hopefully they will burn through. Have you heard anything else, or is it just the poor physical condition?
Nothing at all. Obviously, I believe the next set of shows are the 14th and the 15th of January, the continuation for the Triangle Derby, and nothing's been announced in regard to those not being on the show. I think if it was an injury, they'd have had a bigger block of dates, but with it just being the 2 dates, it sounds like COVID, but obviously that's not confirmed. That is me and Matt speculating, putting 2 and 2 together and coming up with 18.
That's the math we do over here in the States. But yeah, so real quick before we jump into it, I did say at the beginning of the show, I just want to let everybody know why the show is late. We're very big on scheduling. We're very big on having the show out Friday morning. I had a whole bunch of people tweet me and message me, how come the show's not out? Usually we record Wednesday, Thursday to have it up on Friday. We're recording on a Saturday. The reason is because the website that Stardom uses for their pay-per-views was down for the Triangle Derby. So it didn't go up until like 2 or 3 days later. So that's why the show is up late. So I just want to offer my apologies to everyone that was looking forward to it on Friday, but you get a little, late week treat from us. So that I just want to let everybody know that's why it's up late. We weren't slacking off. It was just the website was down. So there's nothing that we can do.
No, it was very weird because nothing was announced on the English Twitter initially, and then it was announced that the site's down, is going to be up the next day, and it wasn't. So it was all very strange. But even so, it's now up on Stardom World anyway, so you can check it out there. And yeah, I think it was a decent show, which we'll be talking about in a moment, but I feel like we'd be remiss if we started with that when Wrestle Kingdom 17 is now in the books. And on that card, we had some Stardom representation. Before we dive into the KAIRI and Tam Nakano match, and I know this is a Stardom podcast, but I do just want to briefly talk about Wrestle Kingdom in sort of an overview, because it did contain perhaps one of the greatest matches I've ever seen in Will Ospreay versus Kenny Omega. The only match I've somehow still managed not to see the main event. I've seen the pre-show and seen everything else leading up to it. I just haven't seen the main event. But
you're the biggest Jay White fan in the world too. I figured that would have been the first matches you went to.
I was so emotionally spent after that Omega and Ospreay match that I was like, I need to go to bed. And then up until obviously I've had the Triangle Derby to watch, and I was saying to you before we came on air, I was watching a couple of matches in preparation for the Building Blocks book. So I just haven't got around to it. I'm going to try and watch it tonight just for the completionist in me. But back to a one-night card for Wrestle Kingdom. We'll get into a little bit more detail in regard to the IWGP Women's match in a minute. But other than that, what did you think of the show overall, Matt?
Absolutely loved it. I thought it was great. I got up at 1:00 because the pre-show started at 1:20. So yeah, because I'm a glutton. I'm a glutton for punishment. There's been times where I get up for these New Japan shows, and sometimes I'll kind of maybe just doze off, or there's a match like I don't really care about that. I'll set the timer on my phone for like 10 minutes just to snooze, and none of that happened at all. I thought the show was really, really good. Obviously, we will get into, when you were ready to say set fire, we will get into the most negative I will ever be on this show. But overall, from start to finish, from the junior tag match all the way up into the main event, I thought the show was great. Wrestle Kingdom literally is my second favorite day of the year behind Christmas. If my wife was listening to this podcast, which I know she doesn't, I would say it's either her birthday or anniversary. If my wife is listening to this podcast, hi, honey. Thank you for dinner last night. It was fantastic. Don't forget to support the podcast by subscribing to the Patreon for as little as $1 a month. I had to pop everybody there. But no, overall, I thought it was an absolutely fantastic show. And just another, I know really over the last 2 years, New Japan's really struggled just between getting newer talent over and just getting people back and forth from overseas because of the pandemic. So I thought this was a really, really good show to ring in what I think will be a fantastic 2023 for them.
Yeah, absolutely. I thought it very little filler on this show. I think that's something that was evident from the two nights shows from 2020 and Wrestle Kingdom 14, 15, and then 16. There's been quite a lot of filler in order to pad out the nights, whereas it didn't feel like that at all. From the moment Catch 22 and Leo Rush and Yo took the stage, I thought they did a fantastic job in opening the show. It was like the Wrestle Kingdoms of old. You start with the junior tag matches. It reminded me of, all the ones between the Young Bucks and Red Dragon and Time Splitters and Roppongi Vice and all those. It was very reminiscent of that. And then I thought Bishamon and FTR, especially as apparently Cash Wheeler didn't arrive at the venue till half an hour before the main card started, which I thought was just utterly insane. The fact that they were able to put on the match that they did, I thought was fantastic. The Junior 4-Way was obviously fantastic, and I'll let you know what I thought about the main event. But we're obviously a Stardom podcast, so let's kick into match 2, which was the first ever title defense of the IWGP Women's Championship, with KAIRI getting her first title defense over Tam Nakano with the insane elbow in 5 minutes and 47 seconds. Now, Matt, before I wind you up and let you go, like one of those small toys,
I love it.
The huge elephant in the room is what you are going to talk about, Matt. But I do just want to praise what KAIRI and Tam were able to do with the time that they were given. I thought they did a fantastic job. Obviously, we're going to talk about the big thing coming out of this match straight afterwards, and I imagine that's probably why it was cut for time. But Matt, go for it. Go and be your negative self, my man.
If you need to interrupt me at any point, by all means, please cut me off. But I'm going to do, folks, what we call in management the compliment sandwich. You give a compliment in the beginning, you give a compliment at the end, because I have to end it on a positive note. And there is a lot of positive things coming out of this match. But then I'm going to get to the meat of the problem. And I think a lot of people are going to agree with me, and I think you know what I'm going to go with. I'm going to start out by saying I've been watching New Japan almost religiously since 1996 through tape trading. Yes, not DVD, tape trading, because that's how old I am. I have watched every Wrestle Kingdom, every match from Wrestle Kingdom I've seen. I've watched every Wrestle Kingdom live as it happened since Wrestle Kingdom 9. Like I said, it's literally my second favorite holiday. It's literally a holiday. It's like Merry Wrestle Kingdom. It's literally my second favorite day of the year, like I mentioned before. So I obviously am a huge fan of New Japan and Wrestle Kingdom and all things at the Tokyo Dome. With that being said, the fact that Stardom, who was a more profitable company the last 12 months than New Japan was, if you don't believe me, look it up. The fact that even if you go to take the legendary Korakuen Hall, Robin, if you were to take a look at the G1, which is the New Japan's G1, and you take a look at how much New Japan drew at Korakuen Hall at last year's G1 compared to the 5-star that Stardom drew. Stardom outdrew them by about 100 per show. Nowhere to lie. So you have that. So you take that into consideration. Take that into consideration that this historic crossover show was, I think, the second most attended New Japan show behind Wrestle Kingdom for 2022. What was the thing different? And what was the thing on the main event? Stardom, KAIRI, and Mayu. They did a great job building up this IWGP championship. Phenomenal final. No one will disagree with me there between Mayu and KAIRI. And then you go into Wrestle Kingdom, you go into the show, and the way that I see it, and if I'm wrong, buddy, please let me know. The way that I'm looking at this, obviously I focus more on Stardom. 1, the podcast. 2, I enjoy Stardom more than any wrestling company in the world. But the way that I see it, when they were building these matches up, the matchup that was built up the most was Okada versus Jay White. Obviously, it's your main event. And right below there was Omega versus Ospreay, just because of the sheer, just fantastic match that we knew it was going to be, and it sure was. But out of these 48 matches that were on this one single show, the number 3 match to me that was built up was KAIRI versus Tam. Would I be somewhat correct in that statement?
Yes. I'm going to let you go because I'll stick in my my 2 pence as it was right at the end.
Okay. So this match, you have the great entrances. You text me when you were watching how great the entrance from KAIRI was. Sean watched it about an hour or 2 later. He texted me about how great the entrance Tam was. The match is getting going, and I realized KAIRI hits that interceptor spear that she uses on her comeback like 2.5 minutes in. I was like, that's kind of odd. And then Tam hits the violent screwdriver, her nuclear finish, about 3.5 minutes in. Don't get me wrong, got a huge pop, one of the biggest pops the whole entire show. And then I kind of realized, I'm like, they're not going that long. You've literally built this matchup and built this title matchup and literally a free commercial for Stardom. Your more profitable, Bushiroad's more profitable company between Stardom and New Japan. And you're giving this match as KAIRI hits the 2 cutlasses back to back, and she's going to the top rope for the insane elbow. I'm like, this is the finish. And you hear the announcer saying 5 minutes in. I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. KAIRI hits the insane elbow, and I already started writing down on my notes. I graded this on a curve. I gave this 4 stars. I thought it was fantastic, but as soon as I wrote 4 stars, this match is too short, I stood up, and it's probably 2:30 in the morning in my house, and I took my pen and I spiked it like a football, like an American football when somebody scores a touchdown. I was fuming to the point where I didn't see much of the FTR match because that was the next match. I love FTR, big fan of Yoshihashi, huge fan of Hiroki Goto. I literally did not pay attention to any of it because I was fuming. I think I picked up the phone pretty quick right away, knowing that you were probably on your way to work, and just kind of giving you a heads up, like, hey, buddy, just want to let you know this match, they didn't give it the time they should. Now, if somebody told me that this match wasn't going to be as good as I would have imagined, my first thought would have been, did they not gel? Did Tam and KAIRI not gel? No, Matt, that's not the problem. They only gave it a little over 5 minutes. Now, my second thought would have been that somebody must have got hurt. Oh, that's the worst thing that could have happened in matches. Somebody gets hurt. And then he said, no, Matt, nobody got hurt. So the reason why this match isn't being talked about is nowhere near as much as it should is not the fault of KAIRI. It's not the fault of Tam. Their 347 seconds that they had in the ring, they did not waste a single second. Kudos to them. They took their assignment and they hit an absolute home run. And again, I also talk about the entrances. Not only was the match great bell to bell from what they had, their entrances were fantastic. You had that great ramp that they had for one of the best entrance ramps I've ever seen in the 17 shows for Wrestle Kingdom at the Tokyo Dome. Tam, absolutely, she knows where the camera is. She does fantastic. Kairi's entrances since she's been back, doesn't matter where it's at, have been fantastic. So they maximize every minute, not only in the ring, but out of the ring as well. So kudos to them. So I will, kind of shake my head at what just everybody's saying. Why did you give this match less than 6 minutes? It's one of the most built-up matches on your show. And I think you even, when me and you were texting back and forth when I didn't give you any spoilers, and you said, well, maybe it's because of it's only a one-night Wrestle Kingdom. Like, I understand that. But one, you're not on regular pay-per-view. You're on New Japan World. So you're on your own time. And not for nothing. They could have cut a minute off the main event. They could have cut 30 seconds off the Ospreay Omega match. They could have cut 2 minutes. I thought the junior match, 4 match was good and maybe went on 2 or 3 minutes too long. You literally could have taken 15 to 20 seconds off each and every match. And I'm not saying going 15, 20 minutes. Would I have loved to see Tam and Kairi go 15, 20 minutes? Absolutely. But the fact this match didn't get 10 or 11 minutes is beyond me. It's absolutely beyond me. I don't understand it. There was a lot of people that were tuning into this knowing that, hey, I heard this, I'm a huge New Japan fan. I'm a huge fan of AEW, and we're going to see Omega Ospreay, which is an absolute dream match, which absolutely delivered. But you literally had people saying, the Stardom stuff, I'm going to check it out. Especially over here in the States, hey, I know Kairi, huge fan of Kairi Sane in NXT and WWE. And, Tam comes out and she just looks absolutely striking. New gear. You look fantastic. I still don't understand the whole thing with the spear. Obviously, I'm the biggest Tam Nakano fan in the world. I don't understand. And even I think that when she went up to the top rope to do her thing where she points at the camera, and I think that she's just pointing at me, regardless, I think the top of the spear fell off. I really, really do. I think she covered it. She covered it with some of her outfit. I thought that was pretty funny. But again, I'm going to be hopefully the most negative ever on this podcast and the year by saying New Japan Bushiroad really dropped the ball by not giving these two ladies at least 10 minutes, because these two ladies have worked their ass off, not only their entire year, but their entire careers to get to this spot. Obviously, this is the biggest match in Tam's career. Kairi, who's worked on the bigger stages in WWE, she did work at WrestleMania, but it was the COVID WrestleMania where there was nobody there. So this is probably the most that the two of them have ever wrestled in front of crowds before on a huge stage. It's the first defense, too. It's the first defense of this belt that you just had one of the matches of the year in the main event in the Ariake Arena with Kairi and Mayu. And this is your first defense. And you kind of dropped the ball, but by no means did Tam and Kairi drop the ball. Again, I'm going to end this on a positive. Tam and Kairi, they maximize, again, every minute, not every minute, every second in the ring, and every second they had when they went. It's one thing to be great bell to bell. It's another thing to be great curtain to curtain. And those two ladies killed it from the moment they walked out to the moment they left. And the Mercedes Moné, Sasha Banks thing, I thought was great. We knew it was coming. I know the move got a little messed up. I think that might have to do with the heels that Sasha was wearing. And that just goes to show you, if you remember when Kairi came back and she did that little segment in Cork and Hall to set up her match with Starlight Kid back in the spring of last year, when she went to go do the cutlass and Starlight Kid moved away, Kairi was in almost like those same heels and she kind of glided. So that just goes to show you, I think the reason why that move got messed up is because Sasha, Mercedes, whatever you want to call her, was in those giant heels. But Kairi was able to pull it off with that spinning back fist and almost like moonwalked her way back, which just goes to show you how great she is. So I'll end it on a positive. Again, those two ladies absolutely crushed it. And I'm really looking forward to seeing what they're going to do with Mercedes Moné, from here on forward.
I am just going to take a moment to appreciate that might be the most condensed negativity I've had from you ever. 100 episodes in, and that might be the most negative you've ever been. I agree with you wholeheartedly. I think the social media sort of buzz was all about the fact that this match went 5 minutes and 47 seconds. By the way, kudos, Matt, because I was trying to work out how many seconds it was when she said 347. I was like, is that how many seconds it is? So, kudos. Well done. Because that took me bloody ages to work out while you were talking. Overall, and unfortunately, I think this is probably the way New Japan have seen it, this match was little more than a vehicle to get to the Sasha Banks stuff, which isn't fair on Tam. It's certainly not fair on KAIRI, but it's made all the more laughable when you realize that even though Stardom's titles have a 30-minute time limit, this is an IWGP title and it has a 60-minute time limit, which means it went just over a 12th of its time limit. And when you consider that the only match on the card that went less time was on the pre-show and was a match that was explicitly only given a 3-minute time limit, it's a little bit insulting. The fact that it's your brand new belt, an IWGP women's division, is something that's been talked about in New Japan fandom for years and years and years and years and years. It's been rumored for years, and then to sort of have it second on the card, and then to have it go less than 6 minutes, it was a little bit of a baffling decision. Now, the only thing that I can think in terms of the time limit is because the Mercedes Moné stuff, which, I mean, as debuts go, I mean, what an impact. Like, the way she looked, the music, just outrageous costume. Her hair looked incredible, by the way. I don't know how you do stuff like that, but Jesus Christ, what a hairdo. But the fact that the heels were outrageous, you're absolutely spot on. But the fact that took so long probably ate into their match time. But again, the way I feel that this match was seen, especially as it was the first defense, so no one, even the biggest Tam Nakano fan out there, thought that she was winning this title. Yeah, exactly. Even you didn't think Tam was walking away from Wrestle Kingdom as the champion, which is a shame. And I'll echo what I said before. I do think people saw this as a little more of it's an exhibition match, and look, here's Mercedes Moné, which is a shame. On the positive side, again, I thought, they had a very short amount of time to hit as many beats as they possibly could, and I thought both women did a tremendous job. Both women looked incredible. Tam's entrance was fantastic. KAIRI's was next level, and that's despite the fact that she broke her, like, what are they called? The wheels. So I thought, even despite that, her entire entrance just worked so well in the big setting. I thought the commentary team did a fantastic job of putting over both KAIRI and Tam. Obviously, Chris Charlton went out of his way to say that the match between KAIRI and Mayu at Historic Crossover was one of his favourite matches of 2022, which is high praise indeed when you consider the matches that he's watched. But the big spectacle around this belt will be the match at Battle in the Valley. Because, of course, it was announced that Mercedes Moné, Sasha Banks, whatever you want to call her, she is going to be challenging KAIRI for the IWGP Women's Championship on the 18th of February at Battle in the Valley from the San Jose Civic Center. A couple of interesting thoughts. If you want to watch this, it's not going to be on New Japan World, or it's a pay-per-view through New Japan World. And you can watch it through Fight TV as well if you want to watch it through there. I'm going to be really intrigued to see what they do here, because Mercedes Moné might be the hottest free agent in wrestling right now. I don't even think it's a might. She is the hottest free agent in wrestling right now. And the fact that she was able to create the buzz she did, and we are in an increasingly smarky time in terms of wrestling fans, and you make a botch like that on the stage that it's on, and you're going to get crucified online. I didn't see a single person mention that botch. And that, I think, is kudos to just how much star power Mercedes Moné brought over. Again, it's going to be a great match. I'm going to be really, really intrigued to see how they get out of this. Because if they go to a time limit draw, we're talking an hour. I can't see them giving it an hour. I'd love it. Don't get me wrong. I mean, bloody hell, KAIRI and Sasha Banks if for an hour time limit draw. Plug it into my veins. But I don't see that happening. So do you have Mercedes Moné, the hottest free agent in wrestling? Do you have her lose in her first match back? But also, do you have KAIRI drop the belt to Mercedes Moné after one sort of surface level title defense? It's very, very, very intriguing. I'm interested to know what you think.
I have no clue. If you're telling, obviously we'll do our preview. This show is about 6 weeks out, give or take.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll give our predictions in a month's time. But if you're asking me right now, I think Sasha takes the belt. Again, I'm not setting this in stone. Sasha takes the belt and she drops it to Mayu at the Budokan Hall show. And you do KAIRI versus Sayaka Matani for the white belt at that show. You want to talk about star power, your biggest car, your biggest stars. That's where I'm thinking. Again, I know just about 20 minutes ago, we're like, yeah, whoever wins the Cinderella tournament is going to wrestle Sayaka Matani at this show. So there's 8 or 9 different avenues they can go down, and 90% of them will be the right call. I mean, there's so many different things they can do. You talk about nobody really mentioned anything. Sasha's little, and I don't like the word botch. I really don't. A little mistake that she made with the move. Did you see her mistake that she made at the press conference afterwards?
No, but I did want to talk obviously about who she not necessarily called out, but who she name dropped in the press conference. But no, I don't know what she said in regards to the
no,
mistake.
That's exactly what it is. So go ahead, sir. You go and said about the 2 people she called out.
Oh, there was 2. I didn't know there was 2. I only know about 1.
Well, obviously, okay, go ahead and say it, because you obviously read the transcript and didn't see the actual interview. So you go ahead and say it, and I'll tell you how it was said.
No, oh no, did she mispronounce Azumi's name?
She pronounced Azumi's name. Are you sitting down, sir?
Go on.
She goes, I really like AZM.
It's funny you should mention that, because when in the very first episode 1 of the Stardom Cast, which is apparently, by the way, just FYI, the 3rd most played episode, I didn't realize that it was Azumi because there's no commentary. So I pronounced it AZM as well, and Chris had to go, It's pronounced Azumi, Rob. Don't be an idiot. It's Azumi. But yeah, bless her. I read the transcript of that bit, but I didn't even know she called out 2 people. Who was the other person she called out?
And then she goes, I really like Miyu. Now, Miyu from over at Tokyo Joshi Pro, they have posted pictures from a few years ago, the 2 of them together. So a lot of people thought that's what she meant. And even Karen Peterson, I was talking to her during the show. She said, if you're getting roughly, we don't know, speculation, supposedly she's getting $100,000 per shot. She goes, if you're getting $100,000 from Bushi Road, you really shouldn't mention anybody from Tokyo Joshi Pro. But when I went back and watched, I honestly think that she meant to say Mayu, because that's obviously the dream match. That's the match she's been talking about for the better part of 2 or 3 years that she's been quoted in Sports Illustrated saying. So considering the fact that she mispronounced Azumi's name and then she mentioned Miyu, not unless she meant Miyu Hamasaki, that could be it. But I honestly think that she meant to say Mayu.
Well, I saw that Mina Shirakawa, after the show, had posted a load of pictures of those 2 together from a few years back. So did she perhaps mean Mina?
Ooh, Mr. Rob Goodwin, look at you, buddy. Look at you. Even though you didn't even see the press conference, within about 30 seconds, you're the smartest man in the room. You should write books. You should write books. You should write books, sir. You should write books. That's a good possibility.
Maybe. And again, it's worth noting as well that this is not a Stardom title. And it was very apparent to me, actually, that technically a Stardom wrestler doesn't even have to be part of these matches. It's not an exclusive Stardom title. It's a New Japan title. And Mercedes Moné is not employed by Stardom. She's employed by New Japan. And the more I've thought about it, and obviously while you were talking then, Matt, it does make more sense for Mercedes Moné to take the belt, because you think about the exposure, as great as the exposure that KAIRI is going to bring, because KAIRI is probably in Stardom at the moment. She is the most well-known. However, Mercedes Moné, Sasha Banks, whatever, she is another level. You want to bring exposure to New Japan. You want to bring exposure to the IWGP Women's Belt. You want to build exposure to Stardom. You put the belt on Mercedes Moné. You have a defend it on, you have a go to Tokyo Joshi Pro. I mean, I know she's employed by Bushi Road, so that isn't going to happen. But you have her battle, people all the way through the US and all the way through Japan, raising the exposure of this and apparently making a pretty penny at the same time. It's ironic that our analysis of this match has lasted about 4 times longer than the match itself.
That's true. She did on all of her social media platforms, literally minutes after this happened, maybe an hour, she did hashtag NJPW and hashtag Stardom, which made Stardom trend worldwide. Obviously, she's got like something like 3 million followers on each of her social media platforms, something like that, give or take. So it's probably like 4 or 5 times much as KAIRI, who's probably the most followed Stardom wrestler. I know she's technically a freelancer, but you get what I'm saying. Than KAIRI. So yeah, now that you bring that point up, she did make mention too in the press conference that this is the Mercedes Mone World Tour, that Japan is just her first stop. She has made mention that she wants to raise the dollar value of the yen, which is obviously the currency in Japan, and the peso, which is the currency in Mexico. And we know that Mercedes Mone, Sasha Banks, is a giant Eddie Guerrero fan, as we all are. I mean, but to the point where she even copied Eddie Guerrero's gear for the one WrestleMania. And Eddie Guerrero really made his name over in Japan for New Japan and AAA as well in Mexico. So I think that's where she's going with that. So yeah, that's a possibility where she can take this belt and maybe defend it, somewhere in Mexico, and to defend it all over Japan. And we see that there's a lot more New Japan shows coming to the States. In April, they announced a show in Virginia and a show in Philadelphia at the former ECW arena, the 2300 arena. So I wouldn't be shocked if you see an IWGP Women's Championship match there, and Mercedes Mone, Sasha Banks is defending the belt there as well. So yeah, the possibilities are endless, but this is a really good time to be a fan of not only professional wrestling, women's wrestling, Joshi wrestling, Stardom in particular. And it's a really good time to be a fan of the Stardom Cast as well.
Absolutely.
Just want to point that out there.
Absolutely. So Matt's wife, if you are listening, patreon.com/StardomCast. Yeah, and obviously, there are huge rumors that Mercedes Mone is eventually going to turn up in AEW as well. So the idea of her defending the IWGP Women's Championship in AEW and then perhaps porting over the likes of Mayu Iwatani to have a match on, a main event of a Dynamite, or even, a good 15 minutes on, a Full Gear or a Double or Nothing. The possibilities are limitless. Now, we are discussing this as though it is absolutely written in stone that Mercedes Mone is taking the belt. We know absolutely nothing, just in general, but we especially don't know anything about this.
I was going to say that. You hit me to the front. You're damn right, buddy.
So the chances are, again, if I was forced with a gun to my head to pick a winner, I'd say it has to be Mercedes Mone without damaging her immeasurably. But again, whatever that is, whatever happens, it's going to be an excellent match, and hopefully the buzz is going to be incredible. But Matt, let's start talking about the fourth tournament in Stardom's calendar year. It is the inaugural Triangle Derby from Tuesday the 3rd of January, actually the day before Wrestle Kingdom, from the Yokohama Budokan in Yokohama, Kanagawa, in front of a COVID sellout of 1,605 people. So to put that in comparison, Stardom has run, before this show, has run the Yokohama Budokan 5 times. They've never reached 1,600. This is the biggest attendance they've pulled at the venue. Just a couple of comparisons. In the 5-star of 2021, the opening 2 nights were at the Yokohama Budokan, and together they don't reach 1,605. Night 1 got 707, night 2 got 764. They ran 2 pay-per-views at the venue in 2021. Yokohama Dream Cinderella in the spring, which got 1,029 people, and Yokohama Dream Cinderella in the summer, which got 1,135. They've run the venue once this year, prior to once in 2022. I keep thinking we're in 2022, in the 5-star, and that drew 1,324. So a significant rise in terms of attendance for the show. And ultimately, you've got to think that's not only huge for Stardom to be selling out the Yokohama Budokan, whether it's a COVID sellout or not. Ultimately, you look at the card that we're looking at, and it is just 6-woman tags aside from that opener that was on the pre-show. So to do a COVID sellout of this venue when we've just got 7 6-woman tags, that's quite impressive, Matt.
You said I'm just noting this, Rob. 1605 was the paid attendance.
1605 is the reported attendance. Yes.
Wow. I mean, because I was looking at it, it was lit up halfway decent towards the back end. You could see there was a lot of people there. The fact that there was no title matches on the show, and I was going to make the joke earlier, I'll make it now. If there was one Stardom pay-per-view in the year and a half I've been buying the Stardom pay-per-views that I was going to get late because of the website being down, I'm glad it was this one, because I'm glad it wasn't anything in the 5-star. I'm not going to put this down. I'm going to be positive and put it over. This was a good show. The other Stardom shows, the other Stardom pay-per-views of the last 2 years were better. We're better, much better, because Stardom's great. Like if this was Gold Rush or Dream Queendom or any one of those 5-star shows, I would have cried like a little girl that skinned their knee on the playground in the 3rd grade, waiting for this show. Again, I thought the show was great. Was it worth my money? I think I paid the same amount of money for King of the Ring 1995 when that happened. So, and this show was significantly better. But the fact that, yeah, that was my first pay-per-view that I bought with my paper route money when I was 12 years old. So what does that tell you?
Poor bloke. Jesus.
Yeah. We didn't start with a good one. But the fact that they did 1,605 people with just a 6-woman tags. I mean, I think some of it has to do with piggybacking on Wrestle Kingdom being the next day. You have extra people in town, that helps. But at the same time, that just goes to show you the star power, pun intended, of all these wrestlers in Stardom. And wow, kudos to them. That's fantastic.
Yeah, you mentioned about people obviously having flown in for Wrestle Kingdom and obviously piggybacking onto as many shows they possibly could. I know friend of the show, Velkage, has been out there. So hi, Velkage, if you're listening. Hope you've had a lovely, lovely time. He was also able to tell us what happened at Dream Queendom in terms of that ridiculous chair spot for, in the Prominence and Wedatai match. Apparently, obviously, we assumed that we just missed the spot. Apparently, I think he said it was Momo, just touched it and the entire structure just fell down and they didn't have enough time to do it again. So we missed it, but nothing happened. So thank you to our man on the inside, Velkage.
Thanks, buddy.
We did have a pre-show match. That was a 3-way match with Rina defeating Hina and Miyu Amasaki with the jackknife pin in 6 minutes and 21 seconds. This was fine, Matt. It was given more time than the IWGP Women's Championship match at Wrestle Kingdom the next day, so take for that what you will. But overall, it was fine. Nothing spectacular, but it was solid enough.
Yeah, I'm all about Rina getting wins. I mentioned on this podcast, I think about 2 weeks ago, that between the 3 sisters, Hana, Hina, and Rina, obviously Hana is, especially with me going through this future Stardom run, I think Hana's going to have a big 2023. But I wouldn't be shocked in the next 7 or 8 months that we see Rina really, really moving up the card. There's just something about her that's looking ready to break out, and I think it's just a matter of time that's going to break out. It doesn't hurt that she's literally in the ring on a weekly basis with some of the best wrestlers in the world as well.
Yeah, I mean, she's in a faction with the likes of Starlight Kid, Momo Watanabe, Saki Kashima, so, she's only going to improve. And obviously, this is nothing against Hina, but you feel like, obviously, Hanan is perhaps the best in ring. Rina has the most character. I think Hina has come on leaps and bounds since I started watching Stardom, because she was, I do not want to use the word boring. That's not fair, and it's not
vanilla.
What I mean.
Use vanilla.
Yeah, she was the most vanilla of the 3. And actually, it was Rina that I found more captivating in terms of from a character standpoint. But I do think, honestly, I think it's the long hair, but she feels like a stronger presence in the ring at the moment. And hopefully, I'm really hoping that she does get a little bit of a push, because she is good in ring. She's worked on that charisma. So fingers crossed she gets the opportunity. But I'm with you. I think Hanan is going to have a fantastic year. And it wouldn't surprise me if you see Hanan, maybe, depending on how big the field is for the Cinderella, if they go for a random number like they did last year, because they don't do 32. It was something like 40 or something ridiculous last year, or a number that didn't go into a single elimination tournament, it wouldn't surprise me if Hannah makes it to a quarterfinal or something like that and exposes her to longer matches in a singles capacity. What did you give this, Matt?
3 stars.
Yeah, I gave it the gentleman's 3, let's call it.
There it is. There it is.
So we opened the main card and we opened the Triangle Derby with the Triangle Derby 1 block match. The Club Venus team of Mina Shirakawa, Zia Brookside, and Mariah May defeating the Lollipop team of Waka Tsukiyama, Rina Amakura, and Yuko Sakurai. Zia Brookside gained the pinfall over Waka with the Brooksy Bomb in 9 minutes and 5 seconds. Matt, obviously, I don't know a great deal about Maria May. I know a little bit about Zia Brookside. Obviously, Zia Brookside's been in Stardom before, around 2017 to, I think, 2019. But I haven't seen a great deal of her. I know a little bit, like, say, mainly due to NXT UK. But I don't know a great deal about Mariah May. What was your opinion? How do you think they came across during this?
I thought, other than Mina, she was the MVP of this match. I thought the way this match was structured against Zia Brookside has had a lot of exposure being under the WWE NXT umbrella. Mina Shirakawa, obviously, what she's been able to do the last 6 or 7 months in Stardom has been fantastic. Mariah May was the biggest question mark for me on this Club Venus team, and I thought she absolutely crushed it. You want to talk about maximize minutes? Everything she did in the ring made sense. They didn't overexpose her. I believe she has been wrestling too long, but her timing, her ring positioning, when she would hit a big spot, they would kind of do like their own little Club Venus thing. So I thought that was really good. And also on the other side of Lollipop, I didn't realize it until this match was starting. Walker's like the leader of her own faction here. If you think about it, she's kind of nobody, you know. I mean, now we have another Rina, and then we have another Sakurai to be talking about now. So it's like we have 2 Sakis, 2 Momos. We have Arena. We have another Sakurai. And I think there's somebody else too on one of these matches. I'm like, oh boy, it's another one with a common name. It's gonna be not gonna take me long to get confused. But I thought it was really good. You know, Waka, she's just so damn endearing, and now she comes out with this giant lollipop like she's going into the Wizard of Oz movie, as if we couldn't love her enough. But there was a lot of facial expressions back and forth with Waka and Mina. Not a lot, but just like enough subtle where you think something's going to happen. And we mentioned it last week on the show with Karen Peterson that with this Waka having 3 months to get a win, that I think she's going to go to this Club Venus. I really, really do. There just seem to be like enough interactions to kind of keep pulling the thread here, which again just goes to show just how fantastic they're doing with Waka over this last year and a half.
It's funny you should mention that because actually I've got a quote here from the post-match interview in terms of the exchanges between Mina and Waka, because after Waka eats the Brooksy Bomb, you actually see Mina Shirakawa go over to her, and it's not aggressive, it's not it's constructive. It's not sort of pampering her and saying, oh, there. It was more of a, right, come on, constructive. And I think that's a huge difference between the way that Mina is going about this and the way that Tam is going about this. And obviously it's worth bearing in mind that they are both still in Cosmic Angels, technically. But Shirakawa post-match talks about how she knows how Tsukiyama felt when Tam said that. She lost at Korakuen all the time, so I think I understand the feeling the most. I know how Tam felt when she said that to you, and that's why I do it. Okay, can you keep up with the rigorous training? And it's all about laying those seeds for this inevitable Waka departure from Cosmic Angels. And I was thinking about this, and I can't remember if I brought this up on the Dream Queendom review. If Waka leaves and Mina leaves, that leaves Natsupoi and Tam as full-time members of Cosmic Angels. Now, obviously, you've got Saki and the Colors Girls, and you've got Unagi when she drops in, but that's 2 people for Cosmic Angels. Are we going to see before the end of the year the full collapse of Cosmic Angels?
Oh, geez, I hope not. But I totally see your point. And I thought about that. And I think the remedy of that is you bring Saki in more full time. I think she's great. We'll get into it in a minute. I thought she worked great with Tam and Natsupoi. And then I think that you also bring in some more members of Colors. You bring in the Azumi's Challenger from Dream Queendom. what was her name? Why am I drawing a blank here, buddy? Help me out here. Tag me. I'll tag you in. What was the girl that?
Which one?
The girl that just challenged Azumi for the high speed belt at Dream
Shimizu.
Kingdom. Shimizu. That's right. I thought she was great. She's part of Colors. Correct me if I'm wrong.
She is. Yeah.
I thought she was great. So this is something that I've been kind of thinking about. If you have Mina leaving, which that's going to happen, then Waka leaving, I think you bring Shimizu and Saki in more of a full-time basis. And then when Unagi, I think that what you're doing with Unagi is genius because you're kind of keeping her away and then bringing her back. It's kind of like the old saying, how can I miss you if you don't go away? It was so great to see Unagi back at Dream Queendom. But I think that if you bring Unagi back maybe once every 3 months, 4 months, and then you put her in a 6-man tag, a 6-person match, with Cosmic Angels, I think it'll bring more buzz. But I think especially Saki, because she had a really good 5-star. I think if she's booked for Cinderella, I think she'll have a really good Cinderella tournament. And I just think that you kind of bring Saki in more full time. But it is a possibility because it's all these, you're literally having 2 new factions that have popped up in the last 8 months with God's Eye and now this Club Venus. So it is a possibility that you may see the full collapse of Cosmic Angels. But at the same time, I mean, let's call it like we see it. That Cosmic Angels faction is a money-making machine. And I think that it wouldn't be I think it'd be a detriment to the pocketbook of one Rasi Ogawa if you collapse the Cosmic Angels faction.
I mean, the only thing that I can think is if they are going that route, maybe they make Meltier a full-fledged thing. But again, we'll see how this goes in terms of Cosmic Angels and Meltier. It's intriguing what they're doing with Mina. I gave it 3 stars, Matt. What about you?
3 1/4.
Yeah, I must admit, actually, you talked about Mariah May. She massively impressed me. I don't know what I was expecting when I saw her, but I expected Zaya Brookside to take the lead, simply because I thought she was the one with more experience. But actually, I thought Mariah May gave a really, really, really good account of herself, and I'm actually looking forward to seeing more of her and seeing a progression. We move on, though. Let's talk a little bit about the next match, which was another Triangle Derby block match, which saw the Prominence team of Suzu Suzuki, Risa Sera, and Haragi Kurumi, the new Artist of Stardom champions, defeating the team Unique Glare, which is Starlight Kid, Haruka Umasaki, not Karma, thank God, and Ruaka, with Suzu Suzuki getting the pinfall with the tequila shot in 6 minutes and 6 seconds. Short, Matt, but still not as short as the IWGP Women's Championship match at Wrestle Kingdom.
Yeah, this match, considering everybody involved, I'm not going to say it was a bad match. I was a little disappointed. I was expecting a little more. I'm a big fan of Umasaki. I mean, I ranted and raved how much I loved her match with Saya Kamatami at Dream Kingdom. Ruaka's improving so much, which I'm so glad to see. Starlight Kid's one of the best wrestlers in the world. And then on the other side, on Prominence, Haragi, I enjoy. Risa Sera, I'm a big fan of. And I'm really, really big on Suzu Suzuki. Out of all the wrestlers that I've never seen before in 2022 that I did see this past year, I was most impressed with Suzu Suzuki by leaps and bounds. And I'm so excited for her next big match coming up. Obviously, we'll get to that at the end of the show. So I was expecting a little bit more, especially when Starlight Kid and Suzu Suzuki basically picked up where they left off from their fantastic 5-star Grand Prix match. But we've only got like a little bit of Starlight Kid and Suzu Suzuki, and then there was some tag outs with Umasaki and Risa Sera. I'm like, that'll be good. And they only gave us a little preview there. And I kind of figured, just watch as much as I've watched Stardom over these last 2 years, that it'll build by just giving a little bit of taste, and then it'll build up towards the end. And then it never got there. Like Suzu Suzuki, like the finish for your new Artist of Stardom championship team should have been a little bit more of like a big finish, like maybe Suzu hitting the German suplex, or Risa Sera hitting the double knees from the top rope, or a combination. Maybe like Suzu hits the tequila shot and then Risa Sera hits the double knees, or vice versa. But it was almost like a tequila shot roll up on Ruaka, who's like the one member of the team you really don't need to protect. 6 minutes, like I said, it was good. I was expecting a little bit more. But still enjoyable. 3 1/4 stars.
Yeah, I gave it 3 1/4 stars. I think you've got to bear in mind as well that they are given a 15-minute time limit, so they have got to properly cram everything. However, if you're looking at the card, there was only 1, 2, 3 matches of the 7 tournament matches that actually went into double figures. So you could have given this longer. again, the more Suzu Suzuki and Starlight Kid I see, the happier I will be. But again, it was there, it did a job, prominence win, and are kept strong because obviously they are our Artist of Stardom champions. Again, I completely agree with you. I gave it 3.25 stars. Match 3 then. Again, I'm not going to bother saying Triangle Derby block match for all of them because they're all Triangle Derby block matches. We got my Himi with the C, Maika Himika and Lady C defeating the Cosmic Angels team of Tam Nakano, Natsupoi, and Saki with...
You missed the match. You missed the match, buddy.
Did I? What did I miss out?
It's M&H, Mayu Han, and
Oh,
Momo
no, I've
Kohgo
just got that match afterwards. That's why. Let's go for that then. So, Gold Ship, which is Natsuko Tora, Saki Kashima, and Momo Watanabe, defeating H&M's, which is Mayu Iwatani, Hanan, and Momo Kohgo, with a move they are calling the Trifecta, which appears to be the name of a triple team finish of the Swanton, the B-Driver, and Saki finishing it off with the diving double foot stomp in 9 minutes and 29 seconds. Did enjoy this match. I enjoyed the interaction between Momo Kohgo and Saki. So, sort of harkening back to Momo Kohgo attempting to bring Saki Kashima to the light side and bring her back into the Fold and Stars. And here they were just beating each other up, which was great. She was determined to sort of stand up to Saki and not be sucked into her ridiculousness. It did a job. The thing that annoys me most in this, and this is the teacher coming out in me, H&M's has got an apostrophe and it doesn't need one. Because it's not possessive and it's not missing a letter. There's no omission. Now, I know, obviously, I'm an English teacher, so that is going to bother me, but I couldn't think of anything else then for this entire match.
Folks, this is the fantastic commentary you have. Not only do you have two huge fans of professional wrestling and Stardom, but you get the professional, the 20-year independent wrestler and Matt Turner and the teacher in Rob Goodwin. So it's like you get double on top of a double on top of a double. Unbelievable. Well, I mean, how can you not love this podcast? I thought this match was great. The as much as I not much I complained, as much as I would have wanted more Starlight Kid versus Suzu Suzuki in the previous match, we got that in spades with Mayu and Momo for the time given. Yes, and I will never, yes, and you know me, I love Mayu versus Momo in any way I can possibly get it. I was a big fan of all the Peach Rock stuff that we got. Mayu did a really good job. Her and Momo Kohgo, they did a whole bunch of double team moves that they did in the this past year's technically last year's tag league. And Mayu and Hana, they had some really good tag stuff as well. I thought all that was done very well. And I'm a big fan of the finish, the B-Driver into the Swanton, into the double stomp. And if you would have told me that Saki Kashima was getting the pin here, I would have bet a lot of money on Saki pinning Mayu in about 4 minutes with the Kishi Kasai. That did not happen. However, I absolutely love this match. I had it at 3 3/4 stars.
This was the first match that I thought this has got the correct structure. You know, it didn't feel like they were throwing moves for move's sake and they didn't feel like they were pressed for time. I thought they structured it really well. You got the little stories here and there. You know, I thought all of the matches from here on in sort of focus on either someone or a feud. And I thought here the focus was on Momo Kohgo and on Saki Kashima. And again, the more I see Saki Kashima, the happier I am because I think she's dreadfully underrated and generally just a fantastic wrestler. I think Momo Kohgo continues to improve. Overall, I gave it 3.5 stars. I thought it did what it needed to do, made Gold Ship look brilliant. I think H&M's could be potential spoilers, but I don't think we're going to be seeing them challenging for the top spot in the block. Do you?
No, sir.
Let's move on then as we move to the match that I tried to talk about before. Now it's this match, which is My Himi with C. I don't know why I've got those two the wrong way around. Maika Himika and Lady C defeating Cosmic Angels, Tam Nakano, Natsupoi, and Saki when Maika reverses the Fairy Blink in 11 minutes and 20 seconds. And I would argue this is the first real shock of the Triangle Derby because I did expect Cosmic Angels, they are strong across the board. There's no real weak link in there. And bless her, Lady C is, I don't want to say she's still a jobber, but she is the least experienced in the entire match. I expected her to eat the pin here, but no. Natsupoi eating the loss against two of her former faction mates, Matt.
Yeah, really heartbreaking few days for Tam. Loses the tag belts on the 29th. loses this match, and then the next day gets 6 minutes. I'm not going to go over that any more than we already did. But yeah, for poor Tam. But I thought Lady C, I thought she worked great here at Mike and Himika. They really used their size advantage. I thought Saki was great here. I thought how Cosmic Angel structured the first part of the match, where they were using triple teams to kind of basically get the one over on the larger and stronger opponents of My Himika with C. That sounds like an alcoholic drink. My Himi with a shot of C.
It does.
Maybe we'll make that drink, and that'll be the drink that we're drinking when we do the Cinderella tournament.
Absolutely.
Preview.
Can't wait. How much C are you putting in your My Himi with C?
I'll let you know come March. But I thought there was really, really good stuff here. I thought Natsupoi, I talked about it last week. I thought she was one of the MVPs of the entire show of Dream Queendom. She was just operating at a completely different level here. Just everything she does is just quick. The timing's really good. Her facial selling when throwing strikes and when getting hit with stuff has just gotten much better than it's been the last 6 months. Not that it was bad before, but all these little things Natsupoi is just really putting together, looking really good here. Big fan of Himika doing the jumbo Sharuda knee. They did the Tower of Doom superplex spot on a Natsupoi. So when you have that's a cool looking spot, but then when you do it to Natsupoi, who's like all of 4'9" and 110 pounds, soaking wet, holding a brick. I mean, Natsupoi just taking these giant bumps as of late. God bless her. And the finish was I thought it was a great finish. Really came out of nowhere. You see Natsupoi trying to do the Ferial Blink onto Micah, but Micah just using that experience to counter and getting the roll up. I thought it was genius. My only complaint about this match, there was not enough Tam Nakano in the match, but she did kind of step aside to, everyone knows she's the leader of the faction. She kind of did step aside where Natsupoi can get her shine in, and Saki as well. Again, that's why I think Saki should be joining Cosmic Angels full time, because I thought she was great here. And the other 5 ladies did a great job of making sure she had proper time to shine. A great match, solid match. I had this at 4 stars.
I think Saki needs to be complimented for the fact that she's picked up the dance a lot quicker than Waka Tsukiyama has.
Waka, to be fair, Waka still hasn't picked it up. So.
No, she hasn't. And to be fair, they've just sort of given up with her in all senses, for the dance, for the faction, all over. But I talked about how each match sort of focuses on either individual or in a feud. I thought Natsupoi was the MVP of this match, and in fact, she was the MVP of the entire night, with one exception, which we'll get into. I thought she was tremendous. I thought, as a babyface, there are very few more over than Natsupoi at the moment. And you mentioned the facial expressions and things like that, the determination to face Himika and Micah at the start, to just having the absolute purple Jimmy beaten out of her throughout this entire match, and yet she still stood resolutely trying to go strike for strike with the likes of Micah and Himika. It just makes you want, you're willing her to get the victory, and then of course it's her that eats the pinfall in the most flash pin of fashions. I thought it went the perfect amount of time. I thought it focused on the right person, and I gave it 3 3/4 stars. I believe I gave it. Yes, I did 3 3/4 stars. One of the better matches of the night. And in fact, Matt, I'm going to make an emphatic proclamation. I'd argue that up until this moment, this is the greatest Triangle Derby match ever.
You know what? Up until we get to match 6, I agree with you, and that just shows you how bold we are, sir.
Honestly,
how incredibly bold we are. We don't care. This is our show, folks.
Let's move on then as we head towards our main event. We go with 7-Up, Nene Takahashi, Yu, and Yuna Mizumori defeating the Classmates team of Hazuki Koguma and Saya Ida, with Nene Takahashi picking up the pinfall with the EX in 8 minutes and 50 seconds. I enjoyed this match, but it did sort of feel like it was just there. It felt like it was missing something, Matt. Was that just me?
Yeah, I was missing maybe something maybe a little bit towards the middle. Maybe it was rushed a little. The beginning started off on fire, especially see Classmate just slamming people onto everybody. I thought Hazuki now with that red gear looks fantastic. And literally as I'm saying that, I have an Arisa Hoshiki DVD set on my TV, and I looked up and Hazuki's challenging Arisa, and it was Flirty Hazuki. So that made me smile. So anywho, be that for as it may, maybe that'll be a Patreon, the best of Flirty Hazuki. I thought Hazuki in the red, she's done a great job with her outfits this past year. And again, I think she's literally on the cusp of just maybe one big thing to propel her up into the main event status. Whether that's her winning the Cinderella Tournament or not remains to be seen, but I thought she was great here. I thought she was the MVP of the match. I thought the exchanges with Nene and Hazuki, they were stiff. They were great, and then Saida gets in there, and they're fantastic as well. I thought meaning you, the wrestler, and you, Rob, were both terrific here in this match. But yeah, it kind of had like a really hot beginning. They started doing dives. It kind of really not much going on in the middle, and then I think they were just looking for filler there. And then they do the T gimmick spot, almost like the three-way T. They tease the T gimmick onto Saida, kind of build it up a little, and then they almost do like a three-way with three-way T gimmick spot with Mizumori, and then Nene hits her finisher, the MX onto Saida, just crushes her for the 3 count. But I thought overall this was pretty good. I didn't like it as much as the last match. Still really, really enjoyable. I'm excited to see what Hazuki, Koguma, and Saida are going to do in this tournament. But I had this at 3 3/4 stars.
Yeah, I gave it 3.5. I think classmates have got fantastic chemistry. I think that Nene, Takahashi, and you are really starting to build up that rapport and feel very much a cohesive unit. I'm not entirely sure how Mizumori fits into that. Mizumori's fantastic. I just don't know how she fits in with the dynamic of Nene Takahashi, especially, who, good God, I swear she's screaming louder, Matt. I genuinely do think that the screams are escalating.
Ooh, yeah, that's I haven't really noticed it until you pointed it out maybe about a month or so ago, but I noticed Sherry's screams are being lower and Nene's are more, and I think maybe that's like Nene's like, hey, look, here's the deal. I'm coming in for this match at Stardom, next Stardom. I'm going to put you over clean in the middle. Not a problem, whatever you want to do. But the screaming gimmick, that's mine, kid. I think that's what happened.
Maybe that'll be a new blood match where they'll just have scream on a pole match.
The passion injection match.
Match 7 then, our semi-main event, was the Queen's Quest team of Utami Hayashishita, Saya Kamatani, and Azumi, and the team of Abarembo, God's Eye, Syuri Mirai, and Amisori, ending in a 15-minute time limit draw, perhaps the most telegraphed, result, especially as we both feel that it's going to be the final heading into the 4th of March. With all the rightful sort of fury around exchanges between Syuri and Utami, and how much history there is there, and obviously you got the build for Amisori and Saya Kamatani heading into Nagoya, you sometimes forget how good the exchanges are between Syuri and Azumi. Like, they will occasionally just have these matches, most of the time in the 5-star, they'll have this singles match, and you'll be like, oh my God, I forgot how well these two work together. And we had maybe 3 or 4 minutes in this 15-minute time limit draw where it was like, I could watch these for 20 minutes, just kick every single manner of Jimmy out of each other.
There's so many different in-weaving storylines. So you look at it, it's like you have the 2 leaders of the faction, both 10 successful title defenses, both 2 of the best World of Stardom champions we've ever seen, both having some of the best matches we've ever seen, not just in Stardom, but in the wrestling the last 10 years. So you have that story with Sherry versus Utami where it's never not going to be good. But the main part of this match, and it was geniusly booked, was building up Saya Kamatani defending the Wonder of Stardom Championship against Ami Sohrei. And by all means, if this is just a preview of what we're going to be getting for that title match, I mean, we know it was going to be good, but I mean, this is going to be excellent. Yeah, you have the Azumi Sherry stuff as well, where it's just like the 5-star is always so good that when they have that match, Azumi versus Sherry, which always seems to be on like night 1, 2, or 3, that you just kind of forget about it as you get to the finals. But their chemistry is so well together. And then even like something we've never mentioned this past year on the podcast is you have 2 of the best champions in all of wrestling for 2022, Sherry and Saya Kamatani. And we talked about it last week. Karen Peterson is who's going to be the next handful of challengers for Saya Kamatani's white belt. I think a really smart decision that nobody sees coming if they keep the belt on Saya is Sherry has won every championship in this company except for the white belt. I would love to see Sherry saying, you know what, we were champion, we won our belts on the same day in 2021. you're the champion longer than me. I would love to see Shuri challenge Saya Kamatani for the Wonder of Stardom Championship. Again, another story, another time, just literally something that no one really even talked about. I mean, the two best wrestlers in the entire world for me last year. I would love to see the two of them have a match. This match was great. You can kind of tell they were holding just a little bit back because as you predicted, as I predicted, this is going to be the finals. Now, Mr. Rob Goodwin, good sir, not only did we both predict this would be the final, without me saying anything to my wife, when this show first started, I gave her the two blocks. I said, "What do you think the finals are going to be?" She had no idea what I said, no idea what you said. She quickly said, "It's clearly going to be Queen's Quest versus God's Eye." And then she thought about it and broke it down to why God's Eye will win the Triangle Derby. And she agreed with you. So she's on your side.
I mean, lovely as that is, it just lowers my thought. Like I don't think they're going to win now. Just because I've guessed. I mean, I talked about Natsupoi being one of the MVPs of the night. The MVP for me was Ami Sourei, who I thought had one of her best outings in Stardom. During this match, she was in the ring for the most amount of time. Her and Saya Kamatani had some fantastic exchanges to the point where I felt in God's Eye, Ami Sourei, despite debuting with Syuri as like the initial member of what would become God's Eye. I think Mariah's sort of overshadowed her, but I thought here the focus was solely on Ami Sourei, and I thought they did incredibly well building her. The only thing I'd have changed, it's a very small thing, the only thing I'd have changed is I'd have had Ami Sourei hit like a thunderbolt rather than Saya Kamatani hit Star Crusher as the time expired, because it just...
Sure.
It feels like at the moment it's a 1% chance that Ami Sourei is going to win this match. And I feel like just that proof that I had you. Had that bell not gone, I had you. It just adds maybe 2 or 3% to the 97% that Saya Kamatani is going to win. It's a very small thing. I just thought it was a little bit bizarre that Saya Kamatani was billed as the stronger one heading into this match, which, for all intents and purposes, should be a relatively easy win for Saya, even if it'll be, as proved by this match, a really good title defense.
That's I completely understand and agree with you, but I'll even throw you, I won't say one better, but a little curveball, and you tell me what you think. What if, as time was expiring, Ami hits like a thunderbolt on Utami, the leader of Queen's Quest, and the bell rings, time limit draw, Utami's still laying there selling the big finish. Let's be honest, that's a phenomenal looking finish, that like a thunderbolt. And then she's kind of almost half laying over Utami, and she's pointing to Saya Kamatani saying, "This is your leader of the faction. That's going to be you come when I go." And she points at Saya's belt. "When I go for the belt, that's going to be you. That's your leader. She's laying there because of me." And then basically pulls a Bill Goldberg and says, "You're next."
I mean, I'll raise you one more. What about if she gets Utami and Azumi on it? No, I'm joking. No. I will say though, Matt, and I know it's a bold statement. I would say this is the greatest Triangle Derby match ever. And
Rob Goodwin, I will agree with you, sir. This is absolutely. As usual, folks, we're going to agree with each other. Yes, I had this at 4 stars. I had the previous. I had the Miami Lady C versus Cosmic Angels at 4 stars, but this 4 stars I like just a little bit better. And this, I really telegraphs this is going to be the finish.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. I think had there been a winner here, it would have thrown a spanner in the works somewhat. But I think this has to be the final, in my opinion. They're your two strongest teams. Like, there's no real... I know Ami Sourei is sort of all 6 ladies, perhaps the nominated pin eater, which sounds really disrespectful, but, you know, when you've got Syuri in that team, Syuri is not going to be eating many losses, if any, in this tournament. So a lot of that is unfortunately going to fall on Ami Sourei, but I think overall these two teams are your strongest throughout. I gave it 4 stars. Again, really, really, really solid match and a good advert for the tournament. Our main event, though, saw Rebel and Enemy the team of Ram Kachau, Maika Azaki, and Maya Yukihi defeating the Bari Bari Bombers team of Julia Tekla and Mei Sakurai when Yukihi made Mei Sakurai submit with the white eye in 14 minutes and 38 seconds, just 22 seconds before the time limit. Now, I am going to say right from the outset that I am saying Yukihi wrong. I'm 99% sure I'm saying this wrong, but I'm going to take Matt's advice and I'm going to say with enough confidence.
Yeah, my man.
That I'm just going to assume it's right. But in all seriousness, I thought Yukihi was fantastic here. I thought the chemistry between Julia and Ram was really, really good. I thought Tekla looked fantastic. She looked really, really up for this match. Really sort of emphasize the importance of this tournament, which is really, really important early on to really establish this as something that people want to win. But Yuki, I thought, was fantastic. The little exchanges with Julia and the final finish with Mei Sakurai, I thought was really, really, really well done, Matt.
Yeah, when this was announced as the main event, I was like, really? Even with the time limit draw, I know you kind of want to send the crowd home with a definite winner. I was like, I really thought the main event would have been QQ versus God's Eye, or if you wanted a definite winner, you could have, have Micah close the show. So I was like, well, what they're doing here is they're clearly, because obviously the Rebel enemy team, other than Ram being in a few New Blood matches, are really kind of really foreign to the Stardom fan base. So it's like, well, my thing is the reason why this is the main event is they're putting so much stock in Julia that doesn't matter who, and no disrespect to Mei Sakurai and Tekla, because I think they're both great and they work so well with Julia. No disrespect to the two of them, that they're putting so much stock in Julia. It doesn't matter who she's in the same corner or across the same ring with. They're going to just keep putting her in the main event because they see her as this gigantic star, and rightfully so. She's a gigantic star for this company. I mean, she just oozes like the next, big, huge star right behind Io Shirai in the history of the company. So I kind of figured the end of this match is going to be Julia hitting, the Glorious Driver or the Northern Lights bomb on somebody from the Rebel ex-enemy team. But halfway through the match, I thought Maya was the MVP of this match. I thought she was absolutely fantastic. Again, I knew nothing about her going in. I thought she was great. Julie did a great job getting her over. And the fact that they closed this show the day before Wrestle Kingdom in front of 1,600 people, a week after one of their biggest shows of the year, with Julia's team getting defeated by relatively unknown, and with a dominant win with a submission. It's one thing we can catch somebody with a roll up, which you saw Micah do with Natsupoi, but with Maya getting a clear tap out victory over Mei Sakurai in the main event, and the fact that her exchanges with Julia were so good, you can sneak Maya in for a World of Stardom championship match against Julia. The reason why I say that is, who was Shuri's first challenger last year? It was Mirai. We knew next to nothing about Mirai, as a Stardom fan base, and they had a fantastic match. And look at the year that Mirai had in 2022. I think you can really do that with Maya here. I thought she was so good. I thought she was fantastic. She oozed charisma. Everything she did in the ring made sense. They put her over, not only in the match, but her getting the definite win in this main event on this pay-per-view. I would not be shocked if we see her challenging Julia for the World of Stardom Championship, because it's already there. Hey, I want a title shot. I beat you up in the match. I tapped out your tag partner right in the middle of the ring in the main event. I want a title shot.
I'm just looking at the 5-star Grand Prix because you've made me think about who the first challengers could be to Julia and her red belt. And obviously, we have one that we're going to talk about in a moment. I think the Maya bit, the Yuki one, is a great idea, certainly for perhaps a smaller show. I think would be a really, really good title defense in terms of the 5-star. She lost to Mirai, so there's a ready-made title shot. She lost to Hazuki, don't forget, so that's an amazing title defense waiting to happen. She also lost to Momo Watanabe, which I'm sure makes you very happy because the prospect of a Julia versus Momo match is extremely exciting. And then she picked up 2 draws against Mayu Iwatani and Suzu Suzuki. Now, Suzu Suzuki did come out and challenge her, and that has been made official for Osaka Supreme fight at the start of February. Now, both of us, Matt, are enormous fans of Suzu Suzuki, and were it not for her prominence commitments and her love of the death match, I feel like Rossi would be handing her a blank check and going, right, we need you now. I'm surprised that she's the first challenger. And the only reason I'm surprised she's the first challenger is because Julia is winning it. 100%. It's not going to be a time limit draw, not for the first title defense. She is winning. And I just feel you could have waited maybe 2 or 3 title defenses just so there's that element of doubt, because Suzu Suzuki is such a hot commodity. Not to the extent of Mercedes Moné, obviously, but she's such a hot commodity. They've got such a hot story going in as well. The relationship between the two, the history between the two. I would have loved them to leave it just a couple of months so that you just start to sow those seeds of people going, they wouldn't, would they? No. Whereas I feel like it's fairly telegraphed that Julie is winning.
I totally see your point, and why I do not disagree with you. I would play devil's advocate and play the flip coin. When you're going to start, which is going to be a absolutely fantastic reign, there's no way it's not. I mean, you already have against so many ready-made challengers, with Mayu, Momo Watanabe, Hazuki, Mirai, they'll build Utami up. Shiri can say we're one-on-one title matches. They can run that back. There's so much that you can do. You want to start this championship run off with a bang. And again, everyone that I just mentioned, you could build Starlight Kid back up. You bring Natsupoi in, kind of going off the whole breaking up of DDM back in the summer. There's that as well. But I think that when you go to start this title run off, I think this is again, I'm not disagreeing with you, but I'm kind of just saying that you want to start this title run off with an absolute banger. And if you go back and watch those final seconds of their draw at the 5-star, which if Julia would have lost, Souza would have went to the finals. Souza hit the tequila shot and the back-to-back locomotion German suplexes. And then Julia kicked out, and then Souza was on top of her, just really dominating her in those last moments of the match. Again, if it was an MMA fight, I don't know if you're a judge how you do not score that match for Souza Suzuki. So I think you're kind of going to play off that. Is the match going to be great? Absolutely. I see your point of view. We're going to give it a little bit of, give it some doubt. But at the same time, I don't see Julia losing this belt for at least a year. At least a year. Not unless, heaven forbid, I have to bring it up. I hate talking about it. Heaven forbid she gets injured. But I just don't see. I mean, this is going to be your cash cow moving on forward. You want to capitalize on a bigger 2022. This is how you do it in 2023 by strapping the Rockets to Julia and giving her at least a 14, 15-month run. And I think this is a great way to start it. But who's not to say maybe they run it back a second time? Maybe Suzu gets some steam. Maybe gets some steam going into the summer. Maybe a big show in November or something like that, where it looks like they give Suzu another shot where she almost beats her. Kind of very similar to what they did on Io's run with that second match with Mayu. The way that Mayu was built up looked like that Mayu was going to win that match at the end of 2016. So maybe you go that way. There's a zillion different routes they can go where I just don't think it's going to get messed up as all. Regardless, this is going to be an absolute barn burner, fantastic of a first title defense for our World of Stardom champion.
I will quantify what I said. This match will be an absolute banger. Irrelevant of whether you think Julia is going to retain, which I think she probably will. Well, I don't think she probably will. She will. The match will be absolutely stellar because you look at who they are. Julia's fantastic, Suzu's fantastic, and they've got the history to make it not only just an absolute slugfest, but also to sort of weave that narrative into as well and weave that history into the narrative. My only thing now is obviously the Cinderella tournament is our next big tournament out of this. And I also want to ask you a question about this tournament as well in a minute. The vast majority of winners have gone for the white belt. Anyone that has gone for the red belt, there have been 3 people who've gone for the red belt, they've all lost. This Cinderella tournament is synonymous with the white belt. If the Cinderella challenger goes for the white belt, takes on Saya Kamatani, of those people I've mentioned that Julia sort of has unfinished business with in regards to the 5-star last year, who do you have her take on at Yokohama Arena?
Oh, I already said it, Hazuki.
Okay. Rather than
I already
Mayu.
said Hazuki. There's another one, but I will just because we're also a comedic podcast, Rob. I'm going to say this as well. You said that they usually go after the white belt. What if Mayu wins the Cinderella? She's like, I've never won the Future of Stardom belt. I won this tournament. I know the qualifications. I get one wish. That is, yes, I can. That would be the most Mayu thing ever, would it not be?
I do feel like, having said what you've just said, it does make me realize that we didn't talk about Mayu's throw.
Oh, yes. I texted you as soon as it happened. I literally stopped what I was doing and I was like, buddy, you got to see this.
What in God's name is she doing? Like, I do not understand.
You love her.
How. Oh my God, I do. She's my spirit animal. Yeah, I do not understand how she doesn't fall down more often. This tournament, then, the Triangle Derby, obviously technically we are 2 nights in. The second night was the 6th of January at Corrigan. Do you see this in terms of the totem pole of Stardom tournaments? Do you see this overtaking any of the more established tournaments in terms of prestige, or do you think this is very much a bottom of the totem pole tournament? And not necessarily an afterthought, but you get my meaning.
Again, it's number 4, but again, let's be more positive. Let's bring it up. The 5-star is the cream of the crop. The Cinderella, you pretty much get a white belt. The tag tournament, you pretty much get the tag title shot at the end of the year, the beginning of or the end of the year at the biggest show at Dream Queendom. That pretty much seems to be the way that they're going over the last two shows. So Dream Queendom shows, excuse me, is what I meant. I think just because it's so new, it's, where we've had we've had the Cinderella Tournament starting, I believe, 2015, and we've had, the 12th tag league, and I think the 12th or 13th, the 12th 5-star. It could, because it's new. It's the new kid on the block. Out of the 4, if you're asking me to rank them, it would be number 4. But I still think, based on what we saw in night 1, I think we're just in for so much more. There's so many different combinations of wrestlers and tag teams and 6-person stuff that we can see here that I'm real excited to see what comes out of it. But they never mention that the winner of this tournament gets a shot at the artist belts, which I think it kind of goes without saying, don't you? That I think the winner, if it's not Prominence, which I don't think it's going to be, gets a shot at the artist belts, which is either, if it's my pick or your pick, that's going to be a tasty matchup. When it's either Prominence versus Queen's Quest or God's Eye. I mean, yeah, sign me up. As I always say, Simon, just keep taking my money.
Yeah, I'd be very surprised if they don't get I think it has been mentioned that they get a shot at the artist belt. I think as well, because the 6-person tag is sort of the red-headed stepchild of sort of the card. It's the match that we're conditioned to sort of think, oh, okay, they're building to something. So, you've got your singles matches, and obviously that's why the 5-star and the Cinderella are so exciting. You've got tag matches which are, slightly below that in terms of excitement, and then you've got 6-woman tag underneath that. And I just hope that this raises the profile of those 6-woman tags, because you look at, in 2022, there were some closet absolute bangers in the form of 6-woman and 8-woman tags, especially when it's the likes of Queen's Quest and Stars and people like that. The combinations they put on bangers, and I just hope this Triangle Derby sort of comes to make everyone think, oh, actually, these 6-woman tags are pretty damn good. We've been sleeping on them. That's my hope, anyway. Let's have a look at some of these shows we're going to preview then, because good grief, they did a lot of announcements. They had a press conference in order to announce the cards for the 8th and the 9th of January, and New Blood, and one of the matches for Stardom Award, and then obviously had to change the cards for Nagoya and for, the show on the 9th, the Tam Road show, because of the illnesses and poor physical condition. So at the moment, Triangle Derby 1 Night 3 from Sunday the 8th of January 2023, which will be today as you're listening to this, from the Nagoya International Conference Center in Nagoya, Aichi. This is how the card stands now that it has been changed. We're opening with the Nagoya Rumble, and the participants are Hazuki, Koga, Masaya, Ida, and Momo Kogo, Azumi, Lady C, and Miyu Amasaki, Ruaka, Mirai, and Yuna Mizumori. The remaining matches on the card are, we have got 2 Triangle Derby matches. We have got Cosmic Angels versus Prominence, and we have got the Bari Bari Bombers versus Lollipop. We have a 6-woman tag match with the Club Venus team taking on the Oedatai team of Natsukatora, Saki, Kashima, and Rina. Obviously, that's one of the affected matches from COVID. We've replaced our high-speed semi-main with... It is called the New Year's Gift Special Match, and when I read out what this tag match is, I think you'll agree that's a very apt title. Mayu Iwatani and Syuri teaming together against Utami Hayashishita and Maika.
Creepers. I tell you what, that's when obviously these cards got shuffled because of COVID. So the roster guy was like, what's the best possible matchup I can do to make up? Yeah, I'm going to put Mayu and Syuri on a team up against Utami and Maika. Wow.
Any combination of those 4 women in the ring is going to be great. If you give that 15, 16 minutes, you could be looking at one of the tag matches of the year, and that will be 8 days into 2023. That's the level at which I'm expecting this, especially as there is only 6 matches on the card. One of them's a Rumble. And then, of course, we've got the main event, which is the Wonder of Stardom Championship match with Saya Kamatani looking to tie Momo Watanabe's defense record of the white belt against Amisori. I think that main event match, I thought when Saya Kamatani called Amisori out at Dream Queendom, I was a little bit surprised that Ami was being put in this position. Not because she's not great, just as we get close to this defense record, I expected a more high profile. I was basically expecting Momo. Is what I'm getting at. But I think Amisori proved during that Triangle Derby match that we spoke about, the greatest Triangle Derby match of all time. All time, my man. I think she's proved she can hang with Saya Kamatani and she can put on a really good match. You give that 15, 20 minutes, you give that tag match 15, 20 minutes, that is going to be a very, very, very exciting card. We've then got the Triangle Derby Night 4. That's also billed as the Anjo Municipal 70th Anniversary Tam Road, which automatically makes it Matt's show of the year. This is Monday the 9th of January from the Anjo City Gymnasium in Aichi. This is another card that was affected by the illnesses, and that stands as thus. We've got 2 singles matches to open the card. Tekla versus Momo Kogo and Syuri versus Yuna Mizumori. We've then got a tag team match, Aphrodite versus the New Eras. That's going to be very, very good. We have got a 6-woman tag, Club Venus versus Maika, Mai Sakurai, and Lady C. Obviously, that was supposed to be a Triangle Derby match, but Himika isn't well, so they've ported Mai Sakurai in. We've then got an 8-woman tag match. This was initially supposed to be a 10-woman tag match, but again, illnesses have forced Rossi's hand. We've got a Stars team of Mayu, Koguma, Hazuki, and Saya Ida taking on the Oedatai team of Natsukatora, Saki Kashima, Ruaka, and Rina. And then our main event of Tam Road, we'll of course see Tam in the main event. Triangle Derby block match, Cosmic Angels versus Lollipop. Now, I've said that is the main event. Obviously, cards are subject to change and they may change the order round. However, with the show literally being called after Tam, I'd be surprised if she's not in the main event match.
Well, poor Tam, the way that she's just been eating L's these past 10, 11 days. The fact that it's called Tam Road, she's in the main event, and it's against Waka's team. I mean, I'll be shocked if Waka pins Tam.
Imagine if this is where she gets that win. What a story that would be. What a story.
I don't even think I'd even be mad because it's Waka. Like, how could she comes in the ring with that giant lollipop? Well, what if she does this? She turns heel. She hits Tam with the lollipop, and then Tam gets well, hold on, and then Tam does gets a little color, brother. You know what they say, red equals green. Tam's a bloody mess, Waka's on top, we're just raining punches down like a Terry Funk versus Abdul the Butcher match from the 80s in Japan. And that's that. And then we see death metal walker or something like that. I don't know.
Well, Tam is a deathmatch wrestler, or has been prior, so who knows? That could be the feud heading forward. I think it would be so poetic for Waka to get her first win over Tam on a show named after Tam. Oh, just take my money. Take my money, Rossi. We've got... Also announced was the card for the New Blood 7 show, which will see the start of the tournament to crown the inaugural New Blood Tag Team Championships that were announced at the end of last year. This will be taking place from Bell South Takadanababa from Tokyo. Can we just appreciate how well I got that out? Oh my God.
What I tell you, buddy?
Honestly.
Say with confidence.
Oh.
You got it, buddy.
Well, let's end the podcast there, mate. It's not going to get any better than that. We're going to open with a three-way match. Ruaka versus Lady C versus Marika Kobashi. We've got a singles match then. Rina versus Moran, who, of course, is the 13-year-old who both me and you were very high on after her Stardom debut against Miyu Amasaki. We've got the Passion Injection match, Nene Takahashi versus Waka Tsukiyama, which I'm far more invested in than I think I should be. And we've then got all four of the quarterfinals for the New Blood Tag Team Championship. So these are your matches and thus the entrance into the tournament. We have got the Club Venus team of Zaya Brookside and Mariah May taking on the team of Starlight Kid and Karma. We have got the God's Eye team of Mirai and Tomoka and Naba taking on the Stars team of Saya Ida and Hanan. That's going to be a closet banger as well.
That should be that should be the finals. I saw that and I'm like, ooh, sometimes a match that you want for the finals of your tournament, you put in the first round to hook everybody, and that's going to be your hook. That's going to be fantastic.
I mean, I'm looking at this and I know who I think is going to be in the final, but we'll see if we feel the same way in a moment. Amisori and Nanami are taking on Momo Kogo and Momoka Hanazano, who of course challenged Azumi for the High Speed Championship at Gold Rush. And then it's slated as the main event, but I can't see this being the main event. Again, the running order might be slightly different for these quarterfinal matches. Is the Queen's Quest team of Hina and Miyu Amasaki taking on Mei Sakurai and Chan Yota. Now, I am just going to quickly talk about Chan Yota because she was initially slated to be on the New Blood, I believe, 5 card. She is a former AV star, which is adult entertainment. She will be returning to the New Blood tournament because a previous major sponsor, given her past, didn't want her in the company. Stardom's response to that was to get a new sponsor who doesn't have an issue with it. So Chan Yota is back. Matt, of those 8 teams that are taking part in this tournament, who do you think is your final and who do you think wins?
I have not. I only saw the match and I didn't see the bracket. By looking at it, I'm going to say Mirai and Tomoka Nabe would be my winners. And then them going into, again, I don't know the bracket, so I'm not sure if this is possible. If not them, then the team I think they should face in the finals, because you want to put some steam behind Club Venus, would be Zaya Brookside and Mariah May. That would be my finals. I would like to see Starlight Kid, and if Karma is wrestling a little bit more like Yu Masaki, I think they can be an absolute banger as well. But I think this tournament is going to be fantastic because all those teams that are in there are really, really good. But my pick to win and the team that I'm picking as a fan, I know I'm a big fan of Wingori as you are, especially when they come out to the Hanan theme. Another story for another day. But my pick to win it and the team that I'm pulling for, because I think they are the best combination, would be Tomoka, Inaba, and Mirai.
Now, completely agree with you. I think Mirai and Tomoka Inaba win it.
You know what that means?
Yeah, so sure enough, the first champions will be Momo Kogo and Momoka Hanazana. I'm very surprised they've put Club Venus against Starlight Kid and Karma, because were they not together, I would say that Starlight Kid and Karma are nailed on for the final. I'd be surprised if they don't reach the final anyway, but at the expense of Club Venus, that surprises me. Because you either put Club Venus through as the new faction, the new kids on the block, at the expense of Starlight Kid and Karma, who they've been building quite a lot on these New Blood shows, especially Karma or Haruka Umasaki. I would have loved to have seen a Starlight Kid and Karma versus Mirai and Tomoka Inaba final. That might still happen. but I don't know what to make of that Club Venus Starlight Kid and Karma match. I just don't. The way they can probably get out of that is if Karma gets DQ'd by Fireball.
There it is. Your favorite.
Oh God. Yeah. How many fireballs are too many fireballs? I'd love to see Wingori win it, but again, they're facing Mirai and Tomoka Inaba, so I'm going to sit on the fence slightly more. I think whoever wins the Mirai and Tomoka Inaba versus Wingori match wins the titles.
There you have it, folks. And I bet you this will be, out of all the New Blood championship title tag tournaments, this will be the best one yet.
Absolutely. Absolutely. There will never be a better inaugural New Blood Tag Team Championship tournament. Is it bad?
You just double down. Just double down on what I said, buddy.
Genuinely, is it bad that I'm actually slightly more excited for some of these New Blood Tag Team Championship tournament matches than I am for some of the Triangle Derby matches?
No, I see your point. I like them equally as good because I just love all the good wrestling. But I totally see your point of view. I totally see your point of view. And again, if Yuma Saki wrestles a little bit more like Yuma Saki than Karma, like if she can kind of, like if she's going to be in a Oedo tie, I know this podcast is going on long, but if she's going to be in a Oedo tie, I think she needs to be a little bit more aggressive than Yuma Saki, but not downright and dirty and boring as Karma. I think she needs to find somewhere in the middle of the Karma gimmick and the Yumasaki gimmick to fit in perfectly with the Oedo tie, and I think that would be a really good niche for her. That's just me just saying.
No, I think you're right. If she can find she's 21. She doesn't need a heel side. Just, concentrate on elevating the brand of Haruka Umasaki because she's great. She's someone that both of us have said on these New Blood shows, oh my God, she's really talented. She had a good match with Saya Kamatani despite nearly dying off that horrible apron spot at Dream Queendom and came back to have a really good match. If she can just sort of find a balance, then that will be a really good match, that Club Venus versus Starlight and Karma. And again, that other match, Mirai and Tomoka Inaba versus Wingori, is going to be fantastic as well. Final bit of previewing then. The Stardom Awards are taking place at Belsal Takadona Baba. Damn it, got it wrong that time, but never mind. I said it with confidence, it's fine. That's going to take place on Saturday, the 21st of January 2023. It's a 2-event day. You've got the day show, which I believe is going to be the wrestling, and then the evening, which is your awards and photos and things like that. The only match announced for that so far is the Future of Stardom Championship match with Amisori making her second defense against Mei Sakurai. There's nothing else announced for that card. And also made official for the Osaka Supreme fight, we have got Julia and Suzu Suzuki for the red belt, and we've also got 7-Up versus Mai Himi for the Goddess of Stardom belts as well. So that has been made official for Nagoya Supreme fight as well. Right, I think it's about time we get out of here because somehow, despite not a lot going on, we've gone nearly 2 hours. Again, thank you so much for bearing with us, guys. Next week, we'll be talking Triangle Derby Nights 3 and 4, including Tam Road. And we will also have the results of the Stardom Cast 2022 year-end awards. As you are listening to this on the 8th of January, you've got 2 more days to get your votes in. Go get them done. It's pinned to the top of our Twitter feed. Go and fill it in. It takes 30 seconds to do. We'd love to have your input. Thank you so much to everyone who has voted already. We have quite literally been inundated with responses, so I can't wait to go through the results on that day. If you missed the show, don't worry. All of the results will go up on the website, and you can also find the results from 2021 and 2020 as well. In the meantime, check out the podcast wherever you get your podcasts: Google Play, Apple Podcasts, Amazon, Audible. We are physically everywhere. If you think we've deserved it, leave us a 5-star review and a comment. It really does help the podcast get out to more people. We'd really massively appreciate it. You can subscribe to the Patreon, patreon.com/the Stardom Cast, for more of me and Matt talking absolute nonsense about this fantastic product, doing our alternate commentaries, retrospectives, match reviews, and watch-alongs. We do it all over at the Patreon, so go and check that out. out. Any social media for the Stardom Cast, you can go and check that out at the Stardom Cast. If you want to talk to me, I don't know why you would, but if you'd like to talk to me, you can find me at Real Rob Goodwin. Matt Turner, plug all your stuff and see us home, my friend.
Absolutely. First of all, Rob, I always like talking to you. So you relax over there. You got to put yourself over a little bit more. If you guys can get a hold of me, Matt Turner OF, on the Instagram and or the Twitter. Social media is not your thing. No problem. I understand. Hit me up at the Stardom Cast 22@gmail.com as I try to get back to everybody as soon as possible. We've been littered with so many fantastic and heartwarming messages, both on the social media and the email as well. And it really, really means the world to us, folks. It really, really does. And I share everything with Rob. So anything that you send me, I share to him as well. And again, we greatly appreciate all the kind words that have been said to us these past few months. It makes all this hard work worthwhile, and we absolutely love doing it. But like I always say, folks, any questions, comments, anything you need from me, let me know. Like I always say, it's not my podcast, it's our podcast, because we're all in this together, and everybody's different, everybody's special.